Hi guys, welcome to Irish Footy Vlogs, and this is the preview show, episode 2. So guys, on Monday night there were only 3 games, 2 were cancelled, so I'm not going to bother doing a review show, so I'll just go into the results quickly. Finished Waterford FC 0, Shamrock Rovers 2, an own goal and Reece Marshall there for Shamrock Rovers. I predicted 2-0, so got that one right. Dundalk 3, Cork City 0. Pat Hubin penalty. He scored the second goal of the match after Michael Duffy scored a superb volley. But the goal of the game came from Jordan Flores outside the box. Left foot into the top corner. Great goal from him. Tough result for Cork. I predicted 3-1 there. The final game was at Daleyman Park where Bohemians had comfortable enough in the end. 2-0 win over Sligo Rovers. Mandrev scored early and Twardick scored against his former club in the last minute. Another defeat for Sligo. I predicted 2-1 there. So that's it guys for the games. I'll go into the previews now for the upcoming fixtures in the Premier Division and Division 1, starting with the Premier Division. Now first up we've got Shelburne versus St Patrick's Athletic at Dundalk Park, and this is a rivalry that was very big in the 90s and up to the mid-2000s to be fair. Both challenged for titles, both won titles. And there's still a rivalry bubbling there under the surface as well between both clubs. It's great that I know both sets of fans are looking forward to this clash at Dundalk Park, that we have a Shelburne St Patrick's Athletic game in the Premier Division. It's great news for the league and it's great news for both sets of supporters. So this is going to be a feisty and meaty affair, I've no doubt, on Friday night. As for the game itself, both teams had their games called off on Monday. But Shelburne will be in buoyant mood after that second half performance against Dundalk. Pats, have 3 points for opening 2 games, but in both games they played direct, slick football, even though they lost their first one. Shelburne played against Dundalk, and Dundalk generally like to play a possession game. Pats are a little bit different to that, and have played 2 different systems in their opening 2 games. They played a 4-3-3, and they played a 3 at the back system the last day as well, 1 up front. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how Pats line up tactically. Be interested to see how Shelburne line up tactically as well, because the second half I thought they did very well. They upped the intensity obviously, and the shackles were off a bit, but they had Carl Shepherd coming off the wing as opposed to being stuck on the wing in the first half. He was working with Kilduff, so that's something I might want to explore again going into this game. It's going to be an interesting one because it's the 3rd game for both sides. I think though Pats might have a bit more quality in the attacking areas. Billy King has been very good in their 2 games out wide. Ronan Hale, I think, might get the nod ahead of Martin Rennie in this one to play up front because he was very good. He's not going to hold up the ball, but if Ronan Hale plays up front for Pats with the likes of Billy King, Forrester in the team, you're getting a lot of movement on triangles. It's not really what you'd call a set kind of formation, so to speak. So I think the Saints, you'll see a lot of interchange in that forward line. McClelland, will he play? Will Duna play? He played the last day, so it'll be interesting to see who gets the nod there. As for Shelburne, it'd be interesting to see if Jason Cabilla will probably play. Fernandez didn't play the last day, so I'm not sure if he was available or not, but it'd be interesting to see if he comes in. Deegan, they'll need Deegan in midfield to be at his fiery best. Now, he does play on the edge, but he's one of those players, if he doesn't play in the edge, that it takes away from him. So Shelburne will be looking to defend well as well and defend compact and not give away too much early like they did against Dundalk, which ultimately cost them, and at least stay in the game and maybe then come into the game and they could nick it as well. So my hunch though says a Pats win. I do see a tight game. I see a bit of I do see an open game, but I think it'll be tight. I don't see many goals in it. I'm going to go Shelburne 0, St Patrick's Athletic 1 at Dundalk Park. I think it's a huge game at Turner's Cross, particularly for Cork City when they take on Finn Harps. Terrible start from Cork. No wins, no points in the first 3 games, no goals, and one terrible beating at the hands of Shamrock Rovers and beaten well last night by Dundalk. The natives will get restless if they don't get anything from this game. Finn Harps will be disappointed. I think that their game Monday was called off because they're riding on the crest of a wave a little bit. 4 points, obviously, from the first 2 games. Very close to winning away to Derry. They'll be coming confident here down to Cork. Cork have to find something here, though. They have to get something, even if it's a point on the board, because if they're beaten here, confidence, which is probably already quite fragile, is going to continue to be even more fragile. And I think they have to travel to St. Pat's the week after as well. So they need to get something out of this game. They need the likes of Morrissey and O'Connor, the players that are already at the club, to really try and step up. The new players obviously are struggling to bed in. We don't really know how good they are because, you know, they've struggled obviously, but it's only at the start of the season, so we don't know how good, if they can improve a lot or what, you know. Finn Harps, obviously, the sign of Barry McNamee has given them a lift and he's performed for them in their opening 2 matches. You know, they've got the Lap as well, good player on loan from Derry City. And Dave Webster seems to be keeping them together at the back as well. They seem to be tight at the back in their opening 2 games, only conceding that late goal to Derry City. And Derry have a lot of attacking quality. So, you know, it's very hard to argue that Cork are going to win this game. Of course, on the night, a team can come out and perform. But I think Finn Harps are going to make this very, very difficult for Cork. And I see a point here for Finn Harps. Cork will score their first goal, I think, of the season, but I think it'll be Cork City 1, Finn Harps 1 at Turner's Cross. Another huge game this weekend sees Derry City take on Bohemians at the Brandywell. Obviously, Derry had their game cancelled at Pats on Monday, and after the last home game, they'll be hoping to get a win here. Bohemians, good start for them despite that late goal against Shamrock Rovers. Overall, 6 points from 9 is pretty good. The good news for them is that Danny Grant came on as a sub last night against Sligo, so Danny Grant will be looking to hopefully start that game. If not, he's a good option for them from the bench. They mixed things up a little bit. Dinny Corcoran was still out and likely will be still out for this game. Glenn McCauley actually played up front as well, which is interesting, ahead of Andre Wright. So it'll be interesting to see how Keith Long approaches things in the striker role for the trip to the Brandywell. Bulls will be a little bit more confident, but Derry City at home are always tough to beat the Brandywell, and they'll be up. I think they'll be itching for this game, if I'm honest with you. They haven't won their first 2 games. They'll be all out to try and beat Bohemians, and if they can beat Bohemians, they'll feel like their season's back on track. You know, be interested to see what they do up front, though. Nielsen has played the first couple of games. He hasn't really performed. Little came on as a sub and scored the other day against Finn Harps. So will Little start ahead of Nielsen? Who knows? It'll be interesting to see. They need to get Mallon and McDonough into the wide areas, I think, and they can cause the Bows full-backs a lot of problems. Bows played Kirk left back the last day as well, ahead of Breslin. So there's a bit of rotation from Long. I think literally it is rotation to keep things fresh throughout the season. They've got some players, they've a decent squad, so they've got some players that are pretty much as good as the next player coming in. So that's a good sign for Bows. Twardick looks good. He's played well for them as well. So he's had a good start to the season for Bohemians as well. I have a feeling Derry, though, are going to perform in this game. I think they have an upper hand in midfield over Bows. Bows will have Buckley, obviously, probably, and Levinson, if the first 2 games are anything to go by. You know, up against the likes of Harkin and McCormack. So, I just sense, even though Bows are more on form, I just sense that Derry City might nick a win here. So I'm going to go for Derry City 1, Bohemians 0 at the Brandywell. The only game this weekend that's on a Saturday is at the Showgrounds. Sligo Rovers take on Waterford FC. Despite Waterford getting a win at Pats, I think they've struggled overall in the 3 games. Sligo have certainly struggled overall in their first 3 games, losing all 3 and scoring none. Beaten comfortably in the last couple of games as well, and beaten up in Finn Harps. So they're at home. They'll see Waterford as a chance to get some points, but likewise Waterford will see Sligo as a chance to get some points. They need goals, they need creativity, Sligo. Waterford are capable of defending very well. They're in a similar boat, I think. They're lacking firepower, they're lacking creative spark. They haven't created an awful lot in their games either. I was hoping from Sligo's point of view that Coughlin would push on a bit this season, but to be fair, Sligo fans will know this better probably from watching the games, but I just know from looking at stats, etc., and that they don't look like they're creating many chances. So regardless who's up front, if you're not creating the chances, how can you score? So it's a frustrating situation for Coughlin to be in. Waterford, up front as well, they've got Michael O'Connor. Didn't score an awful lot of goals last year. Can be a presence for them, to be fair, but they need more attacking trust. And where's that going to come from? The fullbacks are quite good at getting forward and attacking, Bone and Wilson, but they need more from their attacking players and players like Kevin O'Connor. I know he scored against Pats, but they need players coming through from midfield as well. Sligo, bright spark for Sligo has been Niall Morahan in midfield. The youngster has, he's been promising for a couple of seasons. He's a name I've kept an eye on, and he's performed well in the first couple of games. So it's a difficult one. It's very difficult to see both teams scoring here. So I have to say Sligo Rovers 0, Waterford FC 0, and probably neither team be very happy with that result either. Now, a bit of breaking news. Sligo Rovers have just signed Ryan de Vries. He's a striker from Auckland. He's 28 years of age. And that is good news for Sligo. They needed to get someone in. Now I'm going to stick with 0-0 because he may not even play on Saturday. Who knows? But hopefully from their point of view, he can add something to their cause. And they needed to get someone in badly. So interesting stuff there. Now at the Tallaght Stadium, we see Shamrock Rovers take on Dundalk FC. And this is a very interesting game for obvious reasons. Dundalk are the champions. Rovers are the main title contenders, you would have to say. Rovers beat Dundalk in the cup final last year. Both teams have started off with 100% records, both winning 3 games each. Shamrock Rovers have recently added Rory Gaffney to their ranks. He's a 30-year-old striker from Galway. He was at Walsall on loan from Salford, where he scored 1 goal in 15 games. So, look, he'll provide competition to Aaron Green and Dean Williams up front. Now, Rovers had a good win away to Waterford. We obviously know that. And Dundalk had a thumping win at home to Cork as well. Both going into the game with form. Rovers are probably playing slightly the better football. But I think with these ties, big ties, the match up in midfield is going to be important. Shields and Sloggett up against the likes of, Jack Byrne. In that midfield for Shamrock Rovers is going to be an interesting Ronan Finn as well factor. So, look, both teams are littered with quality all over the park. We know that. Flores has come into the equation for Dundalk. Played against Shelburne. I don't think he played very well, but played well against Cork. So he's a player that was signed last season that might do better this season. So that's going to be an interesting one to see if he performs for Dundalk and adds to their team. How do you call a game like this early in the season as well? I think both teams, they've started off so well. Rovers will probably want to, give a statement of intent by actually winning the game, because they played Dundalk last season. They actually didn't beat them. They beat them in penalties to win the cup final, but didn't beat them in any match in the league. So they'll want to try and actually, beat them proper in this match as well to send out a statement really to Dundalk. I do think Dundalk will be compact and try and make sure they don't lose the game. They've got players in midfield who can really close you down, and I was impressed when I seen Sloggett play against Shelburne. Hooban has started the season well, 2 goals for him, so that's a good sign because he didn't score as many goals last season, you would think, for a player's quality. Duffy is already off the mark, of course, as well, and players like McElhenney, they've got out wide Daniel Kelly to choose from. Whoever plays, is going to cause problems. Rovers, though, have got players who can cause problems themselves. We all know Graham Burke, very good player. He plays between the lines, just off the striker. But they've got the likes of Neil Farrugia, who I think might play. He was very good against Cork. So out wide on the left-hand side, a real traditional winger. McAniff on the other side. So both teams got players that can hurt each other. Both teams are fairly decent defensively as well. So look, it's an intriguing tie even this early in the season, but especially the fact that both teams have won the first 3 games. I'm going to chicken out of this one. I'm going to say it'll be a 1-1 draw. I can't separate them. Shamrock Rovers 1, Dundalk 1 at Tallaght Stadium. Guys, that's the Premier Division preview predictions finished with. We'll move on to the First Division now. Now, the First Division sees a massive tie for the second game of the season. The two favourites to go up, Drogheda United and Longford Town, will meet at United Park, Drogheda, this week. And both teams got off to comfortable starts, both winning 2-0 in their opening games this season. So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm sure United Park, hopefully anyway, will be packed to the rafters, and Longford should bring a good support as well. Interestingly, from Drogheda's point of view, Sean Brennan didn't actually play in the first game. He came on as a sub. Now, he may have been injured or may have been tactical. He may have had a knock or may have been tactical. Feeling it was tactical. But for me, Drogheda are the favourites, though, in this game, I think. I think they're obviously home. I think they have a bit more attacking trust all round than Longford. Longford do have Rob Manley, who got off the mark, which is a great sign for them in the opening day of the season. But with Mark Doyle, players like Mark Doyle on the wing, who gives you a lot of creativity, you know. You've got Highland in midfield, good player as well. Obviously, Chris Lyons up front. I can see Drogheda scoring and causing Longford a lot of problems. It's going to be a tough game, though, no doubt about that. Longford will come into the game with a lot of confidence and will feel themselves that they can get something out of this game. But my head is telling me Drogheda, so I'm going to stick with Drogheda. But there'll be goals in this game. Drogheda United 2, Longford Town 1 for me. Now, Athlone Town take on Cabinteely at home at the weekend. And Athlone, unfortunately for them, their game initially against their first game was called off against Galway. And Cabinteely had a rip-roaring start against Bray, winning 4-2, 4-0 up at half-time. Incredible stuff. Their talisman, Kieran Marty Waters, of course, scoring the opening goal there. I think Athlone are going to be cold coming into this game. It's going to be a difficult one for them. I think Cabinteely will be coming in with a lot of confidence. Athlone, this is their first game of the season. They're coming into the unknown big time. So I can see Cabinteely carrying on the form that against Bray. And I just wonder if that's going to be a feature of Cabinteely this season. They could be quite entertaining, scoring a lot of goals. And be interested to see if their new players can continue the form that they've shown in that game against Bray. But I do think they'll win here because I think they're probably a better team than Athlone, number one. And number two, Athlone be coming into this one very cold. So I'm going to go Athlone 0, Cabinteely 2. The UCD Bowl, UCD will take on Cove Ramblers. Cove had a difficult start, losing at home to Drogheda United. Certainly weren't disgraced though, because they lost 2-0, a late Drogheda goal after Cove have the player sent off. UCD, for me, I think they're going to do well this season. I tipped them, I think, to finish third, but I also think they could possibly challenge for the title as well, because I've talked about before how they often produce players that we aren't aware of, and they become strong as the season goes on, and suddenly they're linked with Shamrock, Rovers and Dundalk, you know. So they've also added Colin Whelan to the ranks, who's a player I like, and he did score in their opening draw at Wexford. Himself and Madej up front will give them good firepower, and firepower brings you a long way in this league. I think they'll cause problems to Cove in this game. Cove, it's a long way up for them, but they will have their own difficulties. But I think UCD will win this game at home. I'll go for UCD 2, Cove Ramblers 1 at the UCD Bowl. Now at the Carlisle Grounds, Bray Wanderers take on Wexford FC. I almost called them Utes again. Bray had a disaster start of the season, let's be honest. 4-0 down at half-time, losing 4-2 against Cabinteely. They only got their second goal deep into injury time as well. Wexford, our team, they're going to be a lot stronger this season. I've spoken of before. Recently brought in Cleary and loan from Pats as well. There's a lot of players I like. Dan Tobin was a very good signing as well. Connor English. So they got a good point in their first game against UCD as well. It was a late goal, but it was a good point. They would have lost that game probably comfortably last season. Bray at the Carlisle Grounds will want to do well. Gary Shaw did get off the mark in the first game, so that's a bit of positivity for them. This is going to be a tough one. I think Wexford are better than people think, and I'm going to go for Bray Wanderers 1, Wexford FC 1. Now, Shamrock Rovers B had a tough start when they lost 2-0 to City Collins Stadium at Longford Town. It's difficult to judge Rovers B in many ways, but certainly on that result, because Longford are one of the favourites for the league. Now, they play a Galway team that I rate. They've made a lot of good signings. They have a lot of good young players as well. And the fact that, you know, Galway didn't play in the opening day of the season, they'll be eager to get out and get a win. They might be caught cold, though. That's the only thing as well. And travelling to Rovers B is a venture into the unknown for Galway themselves. Still, though, I see, the likes of Shane Duggan and that leading Galway to a win here. So I'm going to go Rovers B 0, Galway United 1. Now that's it, guys, for the preview show this week. Hopefully the weather doesn't cause havoc now and we can get all, if not, or most, if not all of these games going ahead. I'll be going to Talca Park to vlog Shelburne and St. Patrick's Athletic. And what I'm going to be doing this time, because I was at Talca Park last week with the Shelburne fans, I'm going to be vlogging the game from the away section. And that's something I'm going to look to do as well now this season. So if I find it difficult to get the likes of Derry, the likes of Cork, etc., etc., I'm going to try and get them in a vlog from the away section as well. So that's something I'm going to do. I'll be still doing home sections as well, but I'll be mixing it up as well, just to get more, I suppose, teams in there, I guess, as well. So that's something I'm definitely going to look to do. So, by the way, I've got 12 of my last 14 predictions right, and 5 of the scores actually dead on as well. So really, I should be betting on this, let's be honest about it. But that's it for this week, guys. I'll see you for the vlog on Friday. And subscribe if you're new. Cheers for watching. See you later. Good luck.